Jaden Lee Stroobant had only been out of prison for 5 weeks and was on parole when he jumped his back fence, stomped on his elderly neighbour and sexually violated her. At only 19 years of age, Stroobant had spent more time inside prison than outside since his 17th birthday. Today, he was sentenced to life with a minimum non-parole period of 17 years for murdering 69-year-old Kun Xiu Tian. Justice Lang also sentenced Stroobant to preventive detention for the sexual violation charges, meaning he'll only be released when he can prove he is no longer a threat to society. Our Auckland court reporter Edward Gay filed this report.
Jaden Lee Stroobant attacked his frail 46-kilogram neighbour in broad daylight while she was gardening. The Crown Prosecutor David Johnston said Stroobant had used an overwhelming level of force, throttling her and pushing her to the ground.
With Ms Tian on the ground, this offender stomped on her head, causing the injuries that eventually killed her.
He then sexually violated her twice and his DNA was found at the scene. Stroobant then set about ransacking the house, stealing an iPad, cash and her daughter's watch.
He perpetuated his attempt to avoid detection by using rags and a cleaning product to seek to remove forensic traces.
Miss Tian's daughter, Christine Wei, said she still remembers her mother waving and smiling as she and her husband left their Te Aratu home for work on the morning of January 15 last year. She said when they got home that afternoon, she found her mother's body. Miss Wei described Stroobant as a monster from hell, who not only had killed her mother, but also her future. Miss Tian's son-in-law, Jerry Wang, said up until that moment his life had been perfect. He and his wife lived in a happy home with his mother-in-law, but that all changed. He said since then he and his wife haven't been able to live in their home. Stroobant's lawyer, Emma Priest, described the crime as a burglary gone wrong. She said Stroobant came from a dysfunctional family and had been subjected to physical abuse. He'd spent time living on the streets and had used drugs and alcohol from an early age.
It is submitted that had Mr Stroobant been offered the stability, love and opportunities of a normal home environment, he would not have committed this offending.
Miss Priest asked Justice Lang not to impose the crushing sentence of preventive detention, but Justice Lang said mental health reports before the court showed Stroobant posted an extremely high risk of reoffending.
You have no insight into what you have done or the damage you have caused. You appear to have no interest in atoning for your conduct or rehabilitating yourself.
The judge said one of the report writers found Stroobant had little remorse for the victim, saying the process had been tough on him and his family. Justice Lang said Stroobant needed an incentive to change, and preventive detention for the sex crimes could do that. As Stroobant left the dock, he swore and said he couldn't have asked for a better sentence. Outside court, Detective Senior Sergeant Roger Small said Stroobant didn't warrant a thought.
Many of our officers, some who have been in the police for many years, were shocked, appalled and upset by the extreme violence suffered by Madam Tian.
Detective Sarah Cato read a statement from the family thanking the community for their support.
The numerous flowers and cards have warmed their hearts and encouraged them to move forward. They are satisfied that their mother is now resting in peace.
She said they were happy with the sentence. Mo te hōtaka o te ahi ko Edward Gay ahau.